Welcome to the Reinvention Series, where transformation begins and possibilities unfold. Life doesn't come with a blueprint, and sometimes the road to success, fulfillment, and purpose is anything but straight. We all face moments of uncertainties, crossroads where we ask ourselves, what next? How do I pivot? Is it too late to start over? This series is here to remind you it's never too late to rewrite your story. Each episode, we dive deep into real-life challenges, personal breakthroughs, and bold transformations. You'll hear from people who have faced setbacks, made daring choices, and emerged stronger. Plus, expert insights to help you navigate your own reinvention journey. So if you're ready to step into the next chapter of your life with clarity and confidence, you're in the right place. Because reinvention isn't just possible, it is powerful. Once again, welcome to the Reinvention Series, and today we're going to be talking through the art of reinvention with a good friend and brother, Robert.
Hey, what you saying? How's it good?
Thank you so much for coming, thank you for being here to come share with us. I know you have some lived experience, and your insights will be helpful to all of the viewers that will be listening to us. So grateful to see you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good. I wouldn't want to do the introduction for you, so I'll just allow you to introduce yourself.
Introduce myself. Okay. So, Robert, I'm a Cameroonian-born artist and creative living here in Halifax. It's the reason I start with artist and creative is very specifically because every other thing that I do, the starting point has always been being an artist and a creative. Okay, so I'm an artist, I'm a creative, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Batwa Inc., a fashion brand with social impact. I also do creative consulting, I do creative facilitation, so I do art healing too. And I'm also the regional entrepreneurship advisor for a nonprofit called Group Transet, where I help build underrepresented people's businesses, right? I work with a lot of art organizations, so I'm really that artist who's like, trying to build an artist ecosystem wherever I am. It's kind of difficult to say who are you, because I could spend like a whole day talking about who I am, but I kind of try to go from the lens of what are the things that I do and how do I show up in the world. But who am I? I'm chill. I'm just a chill guy. I'm just a chill bro.
Okay. I would say a chill guy with many hats to put it on.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So, Robert, I know because we've had lots of communication in the past that you're an immigrant and all of those things, and it's different when you're moving from your home country to a new country. So, what was it like? What was that move like for you?
Well, so I'm one of those people who would say, and I find that I'm very fortunate to say this. My move to Canada wasn't that I was looking for a better life. You know what I mean? My move to Canada was because I had a specific objective in mind. I was coming to Canada to go to fashion school, to become a professional designer, so I could build an arts and creative empire using fashion as the conduit, right? So I would say it was kind of weird because I was living a lot of comfort back home because I'm the last born, right? So last born in African homes is just like, that in the end, you just need to stay home and inherit everything, just live however you want to live, and then you're going to get all the leniency, right? But I dreamt better for myself, so I wanted to chart my own path in the world. So I moved here, and it was very difficult still because it's a complete... the culture, the culture shift, right? It's a very different way of being, a very different way of thinking. But for some reason, luckily for me, I kind of fit into the space in which I got. Maybe I'd had a lot of training back home in the way to be here, but I kind of fit in. But generally, it was difficult, integrating. Even you're like, okay, I have all these big dreams. Where do I even start? You know what I mean? I don't have no connections. It's not like back home where you can call dad or call mom and be like, connect me to this person. Here, who's gonna connect to you? So you need to do everything by the sweat of your own, by your own sweat. By your own accolades. So that was it was very difficult to settle here. Also, the change for me from back home, I was just in school. I wasn't necessarily working. To come here now, I need to fend for myself. I need to do all this stuff. The change from there to here was like very hard to navigate. I mean, even till now, I still find some difficulties navigating. Like, it's not easy, you know. This place, it may we live here, but it doesn't always feel like home. You know what I mean? Like, home is home. This place always feels like you're in a foreign land and you need to make do of it. So it was just kind of complicated navigating that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So with the Reinvention series, we open it up for people to share stories, for people to send questions, so that we have guests who are either experts or people with lived experiences to share like strategies. And so I have a story here. So I read. I feel like I'm stuck. For years, I followed the safe path, went to school, got the degree, landed a stable job. On paper, everything looks fine, which always looks fine. The resume has to always look good. But inside, I feel disconnected. Like I am playing a role that doesn't belong to me anymore. The hardest part, everyone around me still sees me as that person, responsible, predictable, the one who has it all together. I don't even know how to tell them I've outgrown this version of myself without letting them feel disappointed. The expectations are heavy, and honestly, I don't even know who I would be without them. I have dreams, ideas, and passions I've ignored for years, but self-doubt creeps in. What if I fail? What if I change everything and still don't feel fulfilled? And how do I even start when I've been this version of myself for so long? I really, really want to break free. And I don't know how to fully let go of my old identity without fear of losing myself or the people who know me as I am now. So I read this story because as immigrants, like, who you are back home is different from who you have to be when you come to a new place. And I feel this person might be in the same boat as well. And there are times where even if you're a professional or in a career, at some point you feel like, I'm tired of this, I'm bored. Like, I need to move to the next level. I've grown this current position. Like, how do you know, or how would I say, how do you break free from that old identity without losing yourself, without people around you feeling disappointed or people thinking you're just trying to become who you're really not? And before I hand it over to you to respond, I say this because while I was, because I'm originally from Nigeria, so while I was back in Nigeria, you know, you have friends you grew up together. But everyone has aspirations. Some have bigger aspirations than others. I really had aspirations, so I was really going for the goal. And I remember one day, a high school mate of mine saw me on the road walking and said, "Oh, we don't see you anymore. Now you're moving with the big boys. Like, what's all of that?" And so it was hard for me to explain that I'm still the same person. I'm just positioning myself because I have this aspiration. But he was seeing me in a different light. So maybe I was losing that old side of me. And I feel sometimes you have to shed some things just to get to where you aspire to be. So I'm guessing this same person has aspirations, has these big dreams, but doesn't want to lose the people around, because you don't start explaining that, oh, you know, now. So how do you break from that old identity without losing everyone around you and all? So yeah, I'd like to hear from you.
Okay. So I'll start first by painting a picture in your mind, okay? So I would like, do you know the person's name?
No, so some of the stories are sent anonymous, so we can't reveal the identity, but we know they'll hear and get some strategies.
Okay, so I would like you to think about your life when you're 85, okay? Sit down and picture your life when you're 85, and then think about, and a friend of mine, Bradley Day, he kind of gave me this prompt at some point, you know, but it was in a different context, but yeah, I think it still applies here. So I need you to sit and think about your life when you're 85, right? Think about what it is that's going to be written about you, say maybe at your eulogy, or if there's a celebration of your life at 85, right? Think about the things that are going to be said about you, you know? Think about the things that are going to be said about what you achieved in life. What do you want those things to be? Do you want those things to be that, well, she always did what everybody expected of her and never prioritized herself or never prioritized himself? and, just, stuck to, made everybody happy, never crossed any lines, never crossed any boundaries, never did anything that set their soul on fire. They just lived their life the way everything in the world expected them to live, right? So think about if that's the story that you want to tell, right? And also, I need you to really think about this one too. Think about the people who are going to be there. Who are the people who are going to be there? Are they going to be the people who always wanted you to be a certain version they were comfortable with? Or are they the people who were ready to grow with you? Because you're not ice cream, you're not tequila. Everybody can like you. You know what I mean? Like even the ice cream sellers, everybody doesn't like them. Even tequila, some days you don't like tequila. For the non-alcohol drinkers, even mojito, it's not every day you like a mocktail. You know what I mean? So I believe, and this is my mantra, my responsibility in this world is to do what God has brought me to this world to do. Okay? My responsibility to this world is to make sure that when I'm leaving this world, I'm leaving empty. Everything that I have inside me, I've put it out into the world. My responsibility isn't to come to this world to make people like me or to make my friends be comfortable with who I am. Okay? So I like to believe that like the right people for you understand the changes you have to do. Because the same way that you're feeling, right? Sometimes they want to do the same thing, but they might not have the courage. You might just be the person who gives them the courage to become the true and authentic version of themselves, okay? Our responsibility in this life is to live authentically. It's not to make people like us. And again, I need you to go back and think about your life when you're 80. Did you live an authentic life? Or did you live the life that was pleasing to everybody else except you? Like this is your own life. You're letting people stress you in your own life where you're in control. And I know that it's not as simple. I know there's a lot of nuances, right? There's cultural nuances, there's responsibilities and everything. But I really need you to think about like, what is my most authentic version of myself? Okay? Because when you feel that inner disconnect, that's because you're moving away from your authenticity. Okay? That's because you're living a life that was prescribed for you, right? What would living on your own terms look like, And I know and actually the truth is when you start living like that, a lot of people will not like you because you're triggering something in them where they're not necessarily living authentically as well. So they don't like to see that. And that's why a lot of people hate artists because artists live in a certain way that contradicts to their preconceived notions of how they want to live, right? But I really need you to think about that. Think about what's important to you. Is it living authentically or is it living to please all other people? Okay? And understand that even pleasing other people is tricky because today they like you, tomorrow they don't like you. So either way, it's like, just say, okay, to hell with everything. I'll live how I want to live. Those who are going to stay will stay. And I promise you, the right people for you, they will stay. The wrong people for you, they will leave. But the right people for you, they will understand it and they will stay.
Okay, thank you, Robert. So, live authentically. I know it's as much as it sounds easy, it's pretty difficult and challenging because there are people that have been in your lives for 10, 15 years, and this authentic self, when you now have that self-realization of who you really are, it's hard for them to accept it. But if you can hear me, and if you can hear Robert, he says live authentically. That's the only way you could move on and stop feeling stuck in that old self of yours. And trust me, and I believe that even those that might complain on the onset, would come around eventually when they realize, okay, this is who you are right now. He's not changing to fit into what we want him to be or what we want her to be. And they just embrace the new year. It's hard, but it's doable. Okay. So another question is, what's this? What's the best? It's pretty similar to the first. What's the best way to navigate reinvention when people in your life expect you to stay the same?
The best way to navigate reinvention when people in your life expect you to remain the same. So my question I would ask you is why do the people in your life expect you to remain the same?
I could respond on the person's behalf. Because they're comfortable with who you are.
Okay. Yeah. So is your life in service of what people want of you, of the image people have of you, or is your life in service of what you want to become for yourself? That's a complicated question.
I didn't ask this question.
Yeah.
But
Right. So I would say a lot of times our fear usually isn't even about other people. Our fear comes from what if I do this and I'm actually not good enough at this? You know, our fear usually doesn't come from what other people think. Our fear comes from the feeling that like, well, I'm already doing this and I'm really good at this. Maybe if I change to do this, I might suck, you know? And then it would be that like I made a mistake. Our fear is that like you made such a huge transition and then you made a mistake. But what I know for a fact, because I see this so many times, I actually get paid to help people get to this point, okay?
okay.
Whenever you choose your authentic self, you cannot fail.
Okay.
The world, literally, I don't know if to call this, and I mean, I've looked for ways to explain this. I've done research. I've spoken to people. I don't know how to explain this, but when you step into your authenticity, the world bends to you. Okay? Like, when you get out and actually choose to do the thing that sets your soul on fire, it's gonna be okay.
Okay.
The people who are going to stay, they're going to stay. And the people who are going to understand you, they're going to understand you. Some people will just never want to like detach the notion they have of you. And that's okay. Okay? Like, again, I said, you don't sell, you're not an ice cream seller. Not everybody can like you. Okay?
Yeah.
And people need to understand that you need to evolve. And it's your responsibility in this world to live your truth. It's not your responsibility in this world to please people's notions of you. Because these people's same notions of you, they're fickle. Okay? They change. And a lot of times you think they think a certain thing of you, but you don't even know. Even in the Bible, they say the heart of man is wicked. Eh? A lot of times people, they act like if they like a certain version of you, but they like that version of you. Usually they would like a broken and toned down version of you because it fits their brokenness. Your responsibility is to rise from that and be who you truly are. Anybody who cannot rise to meet you to that level, you need to keep them. And I'm not saying kick everybody out. We need love, we need people, right? But put them at a certain position where they need to be and don't try to upgrade them from there. And move forward with the people who accept you for who you truly are. Because like, that's the only way to be free. Else you're constantly going to feel like if you're living your life to please people. And that really doesn't give you anything.
Great. So still boils down to authenticity. You have to just be your authentic self. And
another thing to add to that, it's very difficult to reinvent yourself because you meet a new version of yourself that you haven't even met. Okay? Take it with a lot of grace and patience and self-compassion because it's not easy to evolve like that. To constantly have to reinvent yourself to become a better... For example, my whole life, I just wanted to be an artist. I was not thinking of like artists as entrepreneurship, right? But then I came to realize that like, you know what? To be a creative and survive in this world today for what I want to achieve, for the kind of impact I want to achieve, I need to like become a good entrepreneur. Getting to look at myself as from an artist to an entrepreneur was a huge identity shift, okay? But looking at myself like that launched me into my purpose. Okay? So me actually having to be like, you know what? I'm going to step back and be like, you know what? I'm an artist, but I can also be an entrepreneur and start talking like a business person and start talking like and now it transformed even how I see myself. But it wasn't an easy transition and do not expect it to be easy. It will not be easy, but I promise you it's worth it. Everything that you're looking for is on the other side of fear. And all the magic that you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding to do.
Thank you. And that takes me to the next question, which is very important. And it reads, how do you navigate self-doubt and imposter syndrome when stepping into an unfamiliar industry? So you're an artist, you had to step into the world of entrepreneurship. So how did you navigate that? Because I feel it's very important. And I have my own personal story, but I would really love to hear how you're able to navigate.
So again, there's this misconception that when you're chasing your passion and your purpose, you're not afraid. That's a lie. You're very afraid. You do it with the fear.
It's scared, yeah.
You do it with the doubt. Doing things that you think you're not qualified for, that is how you grow. That is how you get into the growth. Stepping into rooms that you feel you're not qualified to be in, that is how you grow. Look at me, artist from Cameroon, coming to a Canadian country. I'm out here. The number of CEOs whose hands I've shook and I spoke to them, right? And I'm like, these people are just like me.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
And that's the thing a lot of people don't understand. When you get into these rooms and then you speak to these people who you're looking up to, you tend to realize, oh my God, these people are just like me. They just have these big positions, they just have these big names and big positions, but they're like me, like they have like similar, they have similar, we have different responsibilities perhaps, but they have similar problems like you. Like we're all human, like they all want love. They all wake up in the morning, brush their mouths, take a shit, take a piss. You know what I mean? Yeah. They all do the same things like you. You understand? So getting into the rooms where you don't feel qualified enough, that is what makes you grow, and that is what makes you qualified to be in that room. The only thing that qualifies you to be in the room is that you decide to get in there. Okay? And also, remove the idea that like when you start doing your passion, you don't have the fear, you don't have the doubt, you don't have the impetus. You have all that, but you do it despite that. That is the journey.
Yeah.
You do it with it. I'm sitting here on this chair right now. I'm a very shy person.
You don't look it.
You see what I mean? But you wouldn't know. But I'm a very shy person. I'm very a very introverted kind of, but I'm right here on this chair right now talking like I'm such a professional on this stuff. You know what I mean? It hasn't been too many years that I became an entrepreneur. But I mean, 1 year in entrepreneurship is like 5 years in 5 years in regular life. You know what I mean? But like, I am talking from the conviction of the fact that like, I'm here because I'm here. I'm in the room. My qualification is that I'm in the room. I'm the person right here sitting here doing this, so that's what qualifies me. Okay? And I'm scared. I'm looking at the cameras right now and I'm looking at you, and it's kind of intense and I'm kind of intimidated, but I'm doing it. But you see me talking, you wouldn't see it, right? Know that I have the fear in my heart, but you do it with the fear.
Good. So, yeah, self-doubt always kicks in. Even the popular people we look up to. Mm-hmm. I met a couple of CEOs, high-end people in the community, even here back in Nigeria, back in the US, like they're all scared. Even before a presentation, I know how many rehearsals they have to do before they make a presentation to like a board or something. So one thing I always tell folks around me is, do it scared. What's the worst that could happen? You learn from it. But just do it. Like, just keep doing it. And all. Everyone faces imposter syndrome. Yes, everyone faces it. I don't know if there's anyone that's not scared before that big move or that big promotion or just something big in front of them. So I'm glad that you also kind of mentioned that as well. So please do it scared. Have courage. My name is Courage, so have courage, not me. But yeah, just do it. Like, what's the worst?
Yeah. Do it tired, do it scared, do it no matter how you're feeling, but do it, because that is where you become the version of yourself that you're truly to become. And then when you get into the rooms that you're scared of, you realize all the people, they're dealing with the same things like you. They're just faking it.
Maybe not necessarily faking, but they're just because when you do something over and over again, it becomes second nature. It's just like networking. Going into a room full of people you don't know is scary. But when you keep attending networking events, it becomes second nature. You already have that 30-second pitch of how you want to introduce yourself or however you want to get in. I have my own little secret which I wouldn't spill on how I navigate networking. But just because you've done it over and over again, it now looks like you're a pro at networking. It's a lie. You're scared. You're like, oh my goodness, that could be the CEO of an organization I'm trying to get a job at. How am I going to survive? What am I going to say to sell myself, to make them see that I have value and all? But the fact that you're there, you have to find a way to break the ice and just have those conversations. So do it scared, but do it. Just do it like Nike, right?
Just do it.
Yeah, so the last question I have here is, but it says, what is that advice you give to someone who's looking to pivot in career but feel stuck on where to start?
Somebody who
Did
is
you
trying
have to
pivot.
pivot in your career?
I did.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say my career per se, because I went to university in Cameroon to study accounting. I mean, I come
Really?
from
You're an
Cameroon.
accountant? You should do my taxes.
No, I've lost all the accounting knowledge. However, doing accounting gave me the structure to be able to become an entrepreneur. Because entrepreneur, you need some structure, right? But
Yeah.
so here's what I would say to you. Okay. There is always going to be that uncertainty, right? The uncertainty doesn't leave. But again, I say you need to remember what is your purpose. You need to try to find like, what is my purpose in this life? Like, what am I willing to, like, are you willing to live with the pain of failure or the pain of regret? Because pain is pain, we all feel pain, but pain of failure and pain of regret is not the same thing, eh?
Sure.
The pain of failure is that, like, you tried, you beat your chest. You know what? I tried, and then and then it goes. But the pain of regret is that, like, I would never know what it felt like to try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had to change. Like, I realized when I was studying accounting right from school, this is not going to be me. And the only reason I was studying accounting was just because I knew what I wanted to do with my life. Because from the moment I came out of my mom's stomach at 4 years old, I was already drawing. Like, the first thing anybody remembers about me as a kid was that I was drawing. All my aunties, all my uncles, they were like, when they come, the first thing that this child would do is that, like, auntie, sit down, let me draw you. You know what I mean? So I was from when I was a kid, I wanted to be an artist. But Africa, you need to do what you got to do to,
Yeah.
But I always knew that, like, no matter what it is I'm doing, I'm going to be doing art on the side, because I never stopped. I was always doing it accompanied with everything that I was in. But when I was in university, I looked at that accounting and I was like, you know what? This is not going to be me. I know this is not going to be me. Okay. So my first option was, you know what, just live recklessly. And then whenever it is you choose to graduate, do it, and then do art on the side. But then I thought about it again. I'm just like, what is it that I can really do with my life that I'm really going to excel? Become a professional artist. So then when I chose to make that decision, everything changed for me. You know what I mean? It wasn't an easy decision. Like, I'm lucky that I come from a family who support, but, like, can you imagine my parents' friends? They were like, are you guys crazy? Like, you're sending your child to go abroad and study what? Can you imagine some of my different friends, They were like, bro, like, but, like, why are you doing that kind of thing? It's so unsafe. I was like, you know what? I'm chasing my God-given purpose that God has put me into this world to do. This is what God has put me into this world to do, and that's what I'm chasing. Okay? So don't expect that it's going to be easy, but I promise you, it is worth it, because then you're living authentically, and living authentically trumps every other thing that you want to do. From a spiritual sense, from a human sense, when you live authentically, you're sure of who you are. That is where the confidence comes from. The confidence comes from living authentically. It doesn't come from doing everything everybody expects from you. Actually, low self-esteem comes from doing the things that everybody expects from you, because then you keep trying to live up to people's expectations, and that can always change. But when you're living authentically, you're living according to your own values. It changes as long as you decide to change. So then you get the confidence that you need to do all the things you want to do.
Wow, I never thought of low confidence, like, tying it to living the way people want you to live. But it just makes sense, because, yeah, that's really true. You're trying to impress people, so you're not being authentic. Wow.
Because their method can change. So then your self-esteem is always going to depend on what they think is valid or not, on their expectations, right? But if you're living authentically, then it's your compass. You know?
I want to say that creatives are like the most courageous people on earth. Well, anyway, thank you so much, Robert, for these insights. I know it's always very tricky, and I would say this from a sense of someone that has moved across different countries. Like, going to unfamiliar grounds can be pretty scary. But one thing I always say is prepare ahead of time. research where you're going, try to make connections even before you get it. Thank God for the internet. You can build connections online. Because even before I moved to Canada, I knew the president of the Nigeria Association. They picked me up at the airport though. So like I tried to build those connections before I moved. So like I was prepared, not totally prepared, because I just felt, oh, from the US to Canada, I'm going to get a job like the next day, like my US degree, but it didn't happen that way. But I was prepared for some aspects of it. And so that preparation is good. The courage to just do it, afraid, is also very necessary. And living authentically is it's like the topmost thing. Like you have to just be authentic self when you get into that new country, new ground, or wherever. If it's a new company or career, whatever it is that you're trying to.
And just one additional little thing that I wanted to add. When I keep drumming down on living authentically, it's going to change from time to time. You know what I mean? And you're going to have to grow in that, because it's like you're birthing a new version of yourself you've never been. So please take it with a lot of grace. Okay? Because it's going to change from time to time, and you need to grow in that version of yourself.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Robert. And that being said, that draws us to the end of hearing from Robert. And like I would say, Reinvention isn't a one-time event, it's a journey. So you're always going to reinvent yourself as you aspire and as you grow. And I know that hearing from Robert has show you anything is that change is possible for anyone willing to take the first step. And in addition, anyone living authentically. So change is good for you if you're ready to take that first step and if you're ready to live authentically. And so we'll say bye, but not totally bye, because we'll be having another friend of ours joining to just give their own insights about reinventing themselves and breaking from old identity.
Okay.